Alright, so now we're going on to Western television.
Which, as usual, is there anything outside of what the two shows that you review that you watched in the past week?
Actually, yes, just one. And that was,
Mm-hmm.
it was Sonic Boom. I saw the first two episodes, which are only about 11 minutes apiece, interestingly enough. Um, I don't know, I have mixed feelings on it because there's some amusing moments, but I feel like it's too much. Like, they're trying to be too funny, and it's kinda okay.
Mm-hmm.
But to be fair, it's a little bit more aimed towards kids. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. As for me, I'm watching the usual stuff, that I watched. The Agents. Oh, wait, no, there was no Agents of Shield last week because they were doing something special about, you know, uh, Marvel Comics in general.
Uh,
I forget what it was called. And then, Christella, Once Upon a Time, Family Guy, which actually had an episode this week because the World Series is over.
mhm.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I watched the Simpsons episode this week because it was their crossover episode with Futurama.
Huh.
It was eh. I mean, I would never really watch Futurama. And then, let's see. Yeah, that's. And then, Castle. So. And, alright, so the only other thing besides the normal weekly stuff and the stuff and Legend of Korra was this week I happened across, by accident in the DVDs at Walmart a for a very good price the entire series, all 68 episodes of Cat Dog. So the 90s Nickelodeon fan in me just screamed out, "Buy, buy, buy!" So I got it and watched the first two discs and loving it. I mean, was very, as usual, as always, Cat Dog's entertaining. In fact, the first episode of the disc, or no, it's not the first episode, but one of the episodes on the first disc, or not discs, discs.
Freudian slip.
Actually, sorry, I know. Well, one of the episodes in the first disc was the episode where where Rancid Rabbit is the manager at this all-you-can-eat taco place, and they won't let Cat Dog eat there because I guess they always make the place messy and they eat too much.
Hmm.
And that sort of inspired me to have Taco Bell for lunch today.
Huh.
Like, because especially since I haven't had it in a while, and Taco Bell, out of all the fast food restaurants, Taco Bell isn't the worst.
Hell no.
Far from it. It's actually very good.
I like Taco Bell a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So, and especially like mine because the Taco Bell down the street from me is also a KFC.
Hmm.
Which is also good. But that's beside the point. So I was watching that. So let's dive right into Legend of Korra.
Yep.
So very interesting episode. I mean, let's just outright say it. I mean, Korra got her ass kicked.
Yeah.
Badly.
Yeah, it was.
Badly.
I liked part of it, and then other parts I didn't like.
Like the whole fact that I like the whole fact that the scene where Seeing and her two sons are trying to infiltrate and take out Kuvira, but I mean you should have seen it coming that it was a trap. I mean Kuvira is a lot smarter than A. She's a lot smarter than that. B, she's the main villain, so it's too soon for them to take her out. Yeah. And last but certainly not least, with the fact that she's outside of the metal-bending capital of the world, she decides to be in her supposed tent all by herself. No.
No.
So that was an obvious trap. And I like how they even made her seem like in this episode. They seem to just really be boosting up Kuvira a lot, which I liked because that's one of the things that the other seasons really, really lacked was full we need this villain to be every episode or majority of the episodes has to be built up because there's not too much time for build up, so we don't want to not get so the fact that once again Kuvir is being built up as a not a very intellectual villain, mind you. Like, I mean, all the not that none of the other villains were very intelligent, but the fact of the matter is that she is more seems to be a lot more calculating and ruthless.
Yeah.
And then, so there was a lot of good moments. Then you had Korra basically, goes and after Su Ying and her twin sons get captured, Korra goes with the Opal and Jinora to try and talk no jutsu Kuvira. And guess what? Apparently that was one jutsu she never mastered because it didn't work.
Right.
It failed. So now she's forced into and then in turn she gets talk no jutsu back and basically Kuvira talk no jutsus her into fighting her one-on-one, which at first you might think, all right, Korra's gonna kick her behind. You're hoping that Korra's gonna kick her behind, but of course we know that can't happen because it's still too soon.
Mm-hmm.
So Korra even though she can at this point because there's no water around, she only has 3 of the 4 elements. She's still getting her butt kicked,
right,
massively, and to the point where she is forced to use the Avatar state to beat Kuvira, but right when she's about to win, she has another panic attack and gets knocked out by Kuvira, forcing the airbenders to save her behind. And then Jinora uses her spirity powers to contact her brothers in Zaofu to come help. Or sorry, her brother and her sister. And this, which leads us to the funniest, honestly, in my opinion, the funniest scene of the entire season so far. Friggin' Milo and his painting.
Oh
my! Like first you see Iki's painting, which is I guess portrayed as being like the typical little child drawing. And then you have friggin' Milo, who's friggin' painting himself, looks like a master, like Leonardo da Vinci master painter, friggin' painting himself in a similar style to that of like Napoleon or something, and it's being called bad art.
Yeah.
And then of course Milo's, reaction when he hears that he gets to join in the action. It's like, hey! All hail Emperor Milo. And then they go in there and save Korra's behind. And then, and as they go fly off, Kuvira declares victory over Zaofu, and we see her send Su Ying and all her family that are resisting her rule to one of those special camps.
Mm-hmm.
Concentration camp.
Yeah.
I mean, like she's being made out to be like Hitler.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is kind of sort of pretty much what, the Fire Nation was the Nazis.
Yeah, kind of.
So that's like, that seems to be Avatar's like, best card. It's like their best stories involve the villains being the Nazis. Or Nazi-esque.
Yeah, I guess so.
So
Yeah, honestly, I didn't care for the fact that she had another panic attack. That was like, ugh, come on.
Well, I mean, I knew obviously Korra was going to win, so since it was already shown that she could go back into that after removing the poison she could go into the Avatar state, yeah, they had to come up with some reason as to why she'd lose, because they weren't going to once again have the Avatar get beat when they are using the Avatar state, unless something happened like
Yeah.
it did in this situation.
Yeah.
Because obviously, even though she's removed the poison, she's gotten over the past villains, there's still something personal that her avatar senses are trying to tell her
I guess,
that
yeah.
she needs to. I mean, based on the fact that the face that showed up was hers, I'm guessing she has a fear of of the destructive power she's capable of in the avatar state,
Maybe.
like which sounds similar to the issue that Aang had.
Mm-hmm.
Because, one of the main things he hated about not being able to control it was because he would hurt so many people.
Right.
Most of the time, he never really, except he just didn't like hurting people that much.
Hmm.
He was an airbender. So, for the most part, even when he was in the Avatar state, he would, only take down, bad guys.
Hmm.
So, except for that whole thing at the beginning of the second book where that earth bending general tried to force him into the Avatar state as a shortcut to defeating Ozai.
Yeah.
But other than that, it was only used against the enemy. So he had an issue with it, and now Korra is now fearful that or most likely has a fear of being unable to control her monstrous power, and she fears it.
Yeah, maybe.
So this could be another point where they could try and bring back the avatar or the past avatars, but as I previously stated in a past podcast, I believe it was said in an interview that the reason why that hasn't been returned yet was supposedly because they didn't want her to use it as a crutch,
Mm-hmm.
which makes no sense to me because that's the whole concept of the avatar.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping maybe they didn't want her to use it for this first part, and maybe they'll. I mean, because it just doesn't make any sense. It would be pointless if, after defeating Kuvira, she suddenly, they try to pull the cover over her eyes and make us pretend like we didn't, don't notice the BS where she just suddenly is able to contact her past lives again because she beat Kuvira. No, that would be stupid, or some random other thing happening in the last episode that somehow allows her to have her connection with her past lives.
Mm-hmm.
It would make no sense. I mean, if I remember correctly, I think this is the sixth episode.
Yeah.
So we're halfway through the season, and if anything, if the past season books have taught me the trend they've had is that the last two episodes are immediately connected to each other in terms of the ending. So it's the last two episodes will probably be premiered together as the finale, more likely. I don't know, and if that's the case, then it'll be whether or not, even if it isn't a part one and a part two thing, it'll be similar to that, where the last episode will pick off exactly where the last episode left off,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be all part of the finale. So with that in mind, we have episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10. 4 more episodes of stuff they have to do before we have the 2-episode series finale, which will showcase the entirety of the climax of not only the arc but of the book, but of the series.
Yeah.
So what's going to happen on those? I mean, like I said, I'm still calling it now that friggin' that she's going after Republic City next. I mean, that's the only other place on the continent that's not under her control, or that and the any other Republic or United Republic cities.
And the Fire Nation and Water Tribes.
Well, I mean, yeah, but Kuvira's idea is similar to Chu the Conqueror from Avatar, which is she wants control of the entire Earth Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Because she wants it united under her.
Right.
Now, so it's going to be similar to that, where there's going to be a last, in the 4 episodes where they're trying to figure out what's wrong with her, why she had freaked out again. Kuvira is going to be taking out these, other United Republic cities, leaving, of course, Republic City for last, but the last stand.
Yeah.
Which will be much better than the X-Men's Last Stand. Hands down.
Yeah.
Especially since it no longer exists.
Mm-hmm.
In the continuity of the timeline. But, in the meantime, some of the other things that are going to be happening is Kuvira is going to be completing the weapon, her spirit gun weapon.
Yep.
To shoot that spirit energy laser. And Varric and Bolin are going to make their way to Republic City to warn everyone about this weapon.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to more, Bolin and Varric things because they are hilarious together. And, of course, the last thing we have to talk about, since I was talking about the funny Bolin-Varric moments where it's time to talk about the funny Varric-Bolin moments. In this episode, do the thing. No, just that whole thing about, him having, Bolin not being able to know what the hell he means by do the thing.
Uh-huh.
That alone was just hilarious. But the fact that Varric tried to blow them up and was trying to plan them, not like, fake out blow them up. But in the end, and then Bolin ends up saving them to, and apparently that's what he wanted Bolin to do when he meant the thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought it was starting to get like a little dry, like for how many times you said it. But the best one was oh come on, that one was easy.
Yeah, that was funny.
It was, I think when they separated the train cars, he's like, do the thing, and then he's like, separate the train cars. Come on, that one was easy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, I thought it was, I guess it was a decent episode. Obviously, there were a couple of key points where it was just, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it was, yeah. But overall, yeah, very good, I would say.
All right.